Hello, Ashley sir.
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. How are you?
I'm good, sir. I'm good.
Yes. Mr. Sam. Mr. Sam DeMelo.
सर बराबर ली रहा है ना तो
Yes, sir.
Yes, how are you?
Good, sir.
You're not coming to the class, man. Why? Yes. Ashley sir, बराबर लिखा है.
Okay, sir.
Yes. No, there was a message from him. I thought he got associate, but he said no, still he is in assistant.
Okay, sir. Okay.
शेटकर सर नमस्कार. सर तब्येत कशी आहे? ठीक आहे सर. राहू दे, काय नाही, बोलू नंतर. Ashley sir, I asked Dipesh sir to join at 4:55. Sorry.
Okay, sir. No problem.
That after he joins, we can start.
Okay, sir. Fine.
Yeah. Ashley sir.
Yes, sir.
Shikalgar sir requested me to send the link for today's lecture, so he may join. You want to listen to Dipesh sir?
Okay, sir. No problem.
Okay.
I'll permit.
Yeah. No, I have already forwarded.
Okay, sir.
If he tries to come, we just allow him.
Yes, sir. Yes. Definitely.
At the end, you would like to take a few feedbacks from student. Means not only the link feedback. I would like to say that they will unmute and they will speak for 2 minutes.
Yes, sir. We can do that.
Sir. Few. One from our college, one or two from other colleges. That's all.
Yes, sir. That would work.
Just
after the vote of thanks, we can do that, sir.
No, before vote of thanks.
Okay, fine.
Before vote of thanks.
Okay, sir.
Naitik. Hello, Naitik. Hello, Dipesh sir. Good evening.
Hello, hello. Good evening.
How are you?
I'm fine. I'm fine.
Welcome to our lecture series.
Thank you. I'm also pleased to be a part of it.
Yes, thank you very much. काही मुलं गुगल लिंक वरती आहेत दिपेश आणि काही मुलं युट्यूब लाईव्ह वरती आहेत.
ओके ओके.
100 पेक्षा जास्त होती म्हणून केली आहे.
नो प्रॉब्लेम.
आणि इथे शेटकर सर आहेत, मी आहे आणि आमचे तिसरे कलिग आहेत ऍशली फर्नांडिस म्हणून.
हो हो.
आम्ही तिघे आहेत.
ओके गुड.
रश्मी मॅडम येतात मध्ये मध्ये.
ओके ओके.
आता थोडा बिझी आहेत जास्त.
या या नो प्रॉब्लेम. My camera is actually troubling me since my morning lectures.
Okay.
So I am not switching it off.
Okay, okay. No problem.
That's the
Okay. Mostly speakers ni camera on ठेवले होते.
Yeah.
हा तर you can. Yes. आणि छान आहे म्हणजे क्लिअर आहे मी.
Yeah, okay. Good.
एक दोन मिनिटात सुरू करूया आपण.
Sure, sure. No problem.
Shetkar sir, Dongre sir, can we start?
Yes, Ashley, we can start.
Okay, sir. Yeah. Ritti, the platform is to you.
Yes, sir. Sir, am I clearly audible?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, sir. Greetings to one and all who are present in this meeting. I am Riti Kushwaha from Department of MA Geography Semester 3 and Ms. Diti Shah from Department of MA Geography. Semester 1 is my co-host for today. We are extremely grateful for being granted the opportunity to host today's webinar. I would like to welcome Dr. Dipesh Karmarkar sir, our today's speaker. I would like to extend a warm welcome to our principal, Professor Dr. Maushami Datta ma'am, as well as our vice principals, our professors Suresh Shetkar sir, Prakash Dongre sir, and Ashley Fernandez sir, as well as all other professors from various colleges who have joined us. I am extremely delighted to greet you all on the last and the final day of the webinar. Now, I request the technical team to play the college anthem.
गीत देश जगा सकूं, जग में कीर्ति कमा सकूं।
मैं बनूं इंसान अच्छा, जग में कीर्ति कमा सकूं।
भारत भविष्य बना सकूं, भारत भविष्य बना सकूं।
Now, I request my co-host, Ms. Dipesh, to introduce our guest for today.
Good evening, everyone. I am Dipesh from Department of MA Geography, Sem 1. It is a great pleasure for me to introduce our speaker today, who is going to talk to us about contemporary developments in human geography. This is a subject in which we are deeply interested and very curious about. So our speaker for today, Dr. Dipesh Karmarkar sir, has completed his PG in postgraduate in 1996 and PhD in 2005 from Department of Geography, University of Mumbai. He has been teaching undergraduates and postgraduate courses since 1996. He is currently working as an assistant professor, Department of Geography at St. CHM College, affiliated to University of Mumbai, Ulhasnagar district, Thane. For the PG dissertation and doctorate work, Dr. Karmarkar has worked under guidance of Dr. Swapna Banerjee, Buha, retired professor and head Department of Geography, University of Mumbai. The title of his doctorate thesis was A Historical Geography of Coastal Gujarat and Konkan, Revisiting Spatial and Social Relations. Although his core research interest lies in urban historical geography of pre-modern coastal Western India, he has also worked on themes in cultural geography, development geography, and general semantics. He is the author of well-revised book, Fishy Spaces, Globalization and Livelihood of Indigenous Fishermen, A Case of Mumbai, published by the Lapp Lambert Academy Publishing, Germany. In addition to it, he has published 13 papers in national and international journals and 12 educational publications. He has presented more than 20 papers in national and international conferences, seminars, and delivered more than 40 lectures as a resource person in symposiums, seminars, and workshops at university, state, and national levels. He has been the referee of the Journal of Historical Geographers, a reputed international journal printed by Elsevier, London. Dr. Karmarkar has written extensively in Marathi periodicals, assisted translation works, and recently contributed to Marathi Vishwakosh. His upcoming book as a co-author of the life and works of poet Narayan Sube is being supported by Maharashtra Rajya Sahitya and Sanskriti Mandal. Dr. Karmarkar sir is a member of academic groups and icons like the Indian History Congress, Place Name Society of India, National Associations of Geographers India, and the Bombay Geographical Association. He has served at the University of Mumbai in the capacity of the member of the Board of Studies in Geography, the chairperson and a member of undergraduate syllabus framing body, and a member of local inquiry committee. We are fortunate and it is an honor for us to have such an eminent personality with us today, and I kindly request Dr. Karmarkar sir now to say a few words and begin our wonderful session. Sir, the platform is all for you.
Thanks a lot, Niti, for this introduction. I'm really pleased to be a part of this lecture series. And I immediately agreed when Dongre sir called me. It was obviously because the theme that is given to me was like something that I would like to talk on. At the same time, it's also quite challenging, to talk in 1 hour about such a huge theme. So I thought, let me take this challenge and let me try my best. And because it was for students, so I thought it was furthermore necessary to talk about this human geography and the contemporary developments. So at the outset, I really thank NK College and our principal, Madam Dr. Maushmi Datta, the head of the department, Shetkar sir, Dongre sir, and all other colleagues in the department. I hope that what you are expecting from me, I will try to do justice to it. So without wasting any time, let me start. So let me share my screen. I hope I'm audible and my screen is visible. That typical question.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes. So let us begin now. So as all of you know that I'll be talking about the contemporary trends in human geography, and the title of this series contains another word that is in 21st century, and that really makes the thing challenging, because we all have learned in our syllabus about the developments in the 20th century. So those are the things that we normally know. But the recent or the latest changes, usually we are not aware of. And that was the reason why I took up this opportunity, so that I'll be able to convey all my dear students that what the potential human geography is exhibiting today at the international level. My aim of this presentation is very clear. I just want to make you aware, because the topic is so huge that it cannot be covered in just an hour of lecture. So I have made a presentation in such a way that I will just create an awareness among you about the potentials and reach of contemporary human geography. I have tried to be at the world scale. I mean, I have not taken into consideration the latest work taking place in India. I have tried to be at the international level, because I feel, as per my experience with my students, that that is most of the time is not known much. And for me, that is a very important aspect of it, which I will talk about in the course of my presentation. I also want that you should be encouraged, especially PG students, to self-explore the themes that I will be touching during my presentation, and also raise questions to yourself, address those questions by collecting information and reading. That's the only way one can self-explore, and most importantly, look around, because geography is there everywhere. Only thing is that we need to look around from that perspective. Now, if we want to say that contemporary human geography is really doing extremely well at international level today, then we need to ask a question to test it. And that question, according to me, that is contemporary human geography taking a note of and addressing the contemporary human concerns. So are we addressing our problems of today's world, or are we just taking the themes of the 20th century and only changing the time period and the region and then working on the same things again and again? Is it what is happening? If it is so, then obviously we are lacking behind. But you will find in the presentation that the way international, the contemporary human geography at international scale, the way it has taken the challenge of addressing today's concerns, I'm sure that you will be mesmerized. And then you will have a question that what are we doing as Indian geographers? And when are we going to match with what's going on in the world? And when are we going to learn all these things? For me, these questions are very important as human geographer. Forget about teacher and all other things. And so important thing is, and when a discipline becomes successful, or when a discipline we can say that is playing a very crucial role, it is only when it addresses the needs of the time, needs of the changing time, not only in theory, but also in practice. So I have tried to apply these questions to my presentations, and let us see what we get to know. Now, in this slide is just an introduction, because as you know that I'm talking about 21st century. So I will not be talking about 20th century, but this is what we all of us know. The students of undergraduate may not be knowing everything about it, but students of PG may have a fair idea about these thoughts of how how the geographical thought developed right from environmental determinism, where we started with the understanding of how humans and environment are related with each other and how they are related with each other. So from development, from determinism, possibilism and all that, and then we went ahead by handling very different themes in the last century. So we talked about the uniqueness of areas, because we did talk about areal differentiation, which depends upon how every region and every area is unique. So that uniqueness of areas and places, cultural landscapes, or the location analysis and models that was developed under the impact of quantitative revolution of 1960s. Then decision making and perceptions, the behavioral geography part of it. Then the most important thing came, when we realized as geographers that we just cannot build theories, or we cannot just talk in theoretical way, and we need to apply our subject, because 1970s, 80s was a very crucial period when we came to know that our population has surpassed the limit, and that the term population explosion came during the same period. And we also came across, realize how the ozone layer is depleting. And suddenly we became aware about the environmental issues that we have created from this so-called development process, which actually now is threatening our own existence. Now, and then we went to further in a very detailed way, that the critical geography. I think we ended 1990 with that point, where we started looking at our own geography and our own concerns, our own issues in a more critical manner, especially by understanding the politics of it, the political processes that are behind it, behind the patterns, I mean to say. So the 20th century has performed extremely well. However, the problems were changing with global climate change, with the globalization taking over the entire world, the age of computers, the information age, and all that was like, was just at the doors, when we were about to close the 20th century. We already seen in that century the development of various branches of human geography. And the key word of 20th century, according to me, was the interdisciplinary approach that geographers took. We practically took from many subjects. And so you know that there are different branches that developed within human geography. And when we were shifting, I mean, when we were, entering into 21st century, there was, according to me, a very, very interesting shift. I will be showing some covers of some books, and I want my PG students, to please find them out and read those books, these books. The first one is by Richard O'Brien. This was published at the end of 20th century, if I remember correct, 1992 or so. And you can see the title, in which Richard O'Brien argued that because of globalization, because now it's a borderless world, and now the capital is moving very smoothly across the countries, there is an end of geography. And you know that the concept of the global village, where we talk about the shrinking of distances or annihilation of space, and all those concepts came. That was a period, which really shook us as geographers. And it was a kind of an existential crisis that what to do, because if the people started saying that the geography has ended now, okay, and what will happen? I mean, that was the first narrative of the end of geography, and the second narrative of end of geography has come very recently, when we are facing the COVID-19 pandemic, because COVID-19 pandemic locked all of us inside our homes, and that immobility, where now it is difficult to go from one place to another because of this lockdown, restrictions, and that feeling that of immobility, that we are stuck to one place and we cannot move. So that was another moment when some in the academic world there was some ripples that geography is ending finally, right? And then we have a fantastic work, though it can be addressed very critically, and that is by Robert Kaplan, who talked about how geography has not died, rather how geography has changed completely. I mean, it's in a new avatar, let us say. And he wrote this book, The Revenge of Geography. Everybody must read if you want to understand the geopolitics, and also must question, because बहुत हो गया हमने Mackinder, Spikeman वो सब पढ़ लिया. But now we have to go ahead, because the times have changed, and so we need to learn and read what the current geopolitics is all about. And so Robert Kaplan have shown that geography has not died, and geography cannot die, because whatever challenges come, geography is changing. The space is changing its face, its avatar, and trying to be as trying to be as pertinent or as relevant to the changing time. So I think this particular change from end of geography narrative to the revenge of geography narrative is a very significant aspect of this turn from 20th century to 21st century. Now, if we really want to see what's happening in 21st century, I got afraid that how I'm going to cover everything. Obviously, it is not possible. So I did just one thing, that I will share these links with you if you want, that I just tried to go through the latest research that's taking place in geography. I just open one of this link, to save upon time. Just I want to show you what is that link, and then I will come back. I hope my browser is seen. If not, please tell me. Yes. So this is a website, ooir.org. If you really want to know what's trending, जैसे अपना stock market होता है. So if you want to know what's trending in geography, visit this site, because this site will tell you which are the which are those research papers for which we have maximum citations, or which are those journals which are in discussion, or which are those papers, you know, which are in discussions. So I tried to go through at least 1 year research, I mean from that is 2021, because I'm talking about 21st century latest development, and I went through all these papers and tried to read the abstracts. Some papers were open access, so I could read the entire papers also. And this site really gave me a fair idea about what's happening in the 21st century. So my basis was this website, you know, to what I'm going to talk about in the presentation ahead. So on that basis, you know, I have listed. I'm not going to discuss on these themes because these are heavily loaded themes, but at least you should listen to them. You know, at least you know, you should be aware of what's currently going on in our subject at international level. So I will just read this. No, I'm not going to discuss. What I will do is, from these themes, I will pick up just 2 or 3 and I will try to just comment on it, you know, and I will end my lecture presentation. So let me just read it. Okay. PG students, I want especially, you know, to be very you know, focused on it. And whenever I'm reading, just see what question is coming in your mind. Is it making any sense? Okay. And and just see for that. And if not, it is your lot of homework for the lifetime, I will say, that you have to, you know, read and know about all these topics, you know, themes, to connect yourself with what's going on at the international scale. So the major themes of contemporary human geography in 21st century includes the spatiality of political processes, geography of capitalism and neoliberalism. You will say, sir, ye to last century mein hua, 90s mein. That's true. Many of the, I mean, the roots of some of these themes, they were there in the 20th century. But the volume, I mean, the volume and the content of research that we find in this last 20 years of this century, so that we find, you know, that is I mean, that is very I mean, quantitatively and qualitatively also is very important. Then another theme include urban green turn and political ecology, spatial technologies of power and resistance, animal geographies, space, species and power. Just see what the current human geography is doing. What are the researches, you know, as I have taken from the and this is just 1 year survey, you know, that I tried to do. Then geography of production and uneven development, financial geography, you know, geography of tax, and geography of inequality, spatial justice, geography of representation, geography of veganism. It's a fantastic paper. Try to find out and read it, that how in a meat-centric society, how veganism is trying to, you know, come up and trying to, you know, I mean, trying to establish its identity, and obviously the whole politics behind it. Then there are ethnographies. Geographers to abhi ekdam, you know, everyday life ka jo concept hai, geography of everyday lives, that in everyday life, you know, how we are shaping geographies, or how geography is influencing us. Okay, so that is being studied by in the contemporary human geography. Relational geography of family, friendship and intimacy, geography of gender, feminist geography. These 2 things we know. But now recently what the work is coming is on geography of body and geography of sexuality. Then the emotional turn, geography of emotions, power and environmental conflict. Then we are also talking about value geography. We did talk about it in, I mean, in the beginning of this century, on geography of happiness and well-being. Also academic honesty, our own integrity with the subject. So that is also being talked upon or researched upon by contemporary human geographers. Then multiscalar environmental change, climate change, geographies of waste, chemical geographies and human nature relationships, environmental justice, spatial justice, digital geography, or the pandemic geography. Matlab COVID-19 aaya and suddenly you will find geographers and if you see the volume of work that has been generated at international level, It's massive. That how quickly, you know, we as researchers, we as geographers responded to that situation is something really praiseworthy according to me. So pandemic geographies are geography of COVID-19, and then a very recent, you might have, PG students might have, you know, learned about the cultural turn, the spatial turn, the different paradigms that human geography went through. Recently, very currently, we are into we are in a paradigm, and we call it as the creative turn, you know, that is shaping the creative geographies. I hope that, you know, on everything, you know, every theme is so heavily loaded, and there is so much to talk upon. But obviously, it's not possible to talk upon this. So I said that you should explore it on your own. Especially PG students can do it. Let me take up only few things, you know, and try to talk about just 2 to 3 themes of it, which I feel are more recent and more important to be discussed with you. Well, there are certain things that you may be already aware, but some things I feel may not be aware fully. So I thought, let me take up these 2-3 themes. The first theme that I would like to take up is digital geography. And this question that geography has ended, okay, but the people who said that, who argued that, they were not aware that physical space is not the only space. The entire idea that geography has ended, no, that was developed because they thought that now physical space or physical distance has no meaning, because now within few seconds we can communicate with any corner of the world. So, and then that capital flows and etc. So physical space no abhi kuch raha hi nahi, uska kuch importance hi nahi raha, right? But space is not just physical. It is not just latitude, longitude and altitude. It's not just geometry of physical space, but we also have human space, where we talk about the relative locations. And up to this, till this, we all know about it. We had talked about physical spaces and human spaces in the last century. Now we are talking about digital space. And when we have a very, what I'll say, we have a correlated coordinates. For example, if we fix our location, if we decide, I mean, I'm existing right now. All of us are existing in this physical world. We are sitting at our homes or wherever we are, and wherever we are sitting, we have a latitude, longitude, and altitude, that XYZ element to it. Okay, but at the same time, do we know that the mobile phone that I have or the computer that I have is already recording my location 24/7? It means that what I want to say, that we are also existing in the digital space at the same time. So our physical space might be, you know, I mean, the technology might have, changed the way we used to deal with the physical space. But this is interesting, you know, that I'm existing in the physical space, at the same time in the human space, and at the same time in the digital space. And the contemporary human geographers are very much exploring these ideas. And the deadly combination that recently I became aware of, and that is the geospatial technologies plus AI or artificial intelligence. That is practically changing the whole idea, the dimension or the scales at which we are looking at geographies. So do look upon these things on internet, and you will find a lot of interesting papers, videos to learn about. Okay, and I have given example. Matlab, jaise physical space mein we have latitude, longitude, altitude. In digital space also we have a Google map which can always show. Matlab, hum thoda bhi idhar se aage move kiye, immediately that dot will shift. So we are existing in that space also, in the digital space also. Our computers have a IP address. Okay, we have this concept of CCTLD. Now all these concepts are so important, and I mean in fixing the location, right? So location has not remained only physical, but it has also become digital, and that is what is being used. पूरे pandemic and lockdown के दौरान हम world के साथ connect रह सके, that was entirely because of our geospatial technology, that we could order the things from anywhere. Okay, we could know what's happening around. So geospatial technology have played a very significant role in this period. Okay, and I mean the way we move in a physical space, you know, we also move in the digital space. Okay, only thing is it's not physical because of lockdown and immobility, but it is more digital. So we are not immobile physically, but we are very much mobile digitally, or let us say virtually. And digital geographers are exploring exploring these themes. Learn about this particular map. This is fascinating thing, and just type later on as Karna botnet map on Google, and you will find this GIF. And this Karna botnet, it's a map actually of a 24 hours. I hope that you can understand it. It's a 24-hour map, and this map is showing what? So in 2012, an anonymous hacker, hacked into a very large, many devices of people across the world. Matlab 24 hours ke liye, that hacker, with this botnet, he encroached with a malware in number of devices, and then tried to find out that, the internet connections. And then this particular GIF was made, to tell us that how the digital geography is shaping our world, right? And interestingly, those red color dot means very heavy network or density of users of internet, those who are connected with the internet. And the blue dots, it means it is less, right? And if you observe that how from day to night, I feel that this is actually a geography, that is changing. It's everyday geography. 24 hours the geography is changing. And look at India. Look at India and China with blooming with those red dots. If I'm correct and if I understand correctly, that it is much more than what this US and other countries have. Obviously, it's very logical because we are the populous country. But still, the number of people using the net and all that. So this is a fantastic map. Read more about it. Due to time constraint, I am unable to. Just wanted to show you that geography has not ended. We are existing in digital space. We are existing in a virtual space. And there are many things are happening as far as the relationship between physical, human, and the digital spaces. Another important theme that our contemporary geography, as I said, have quickly addressed is the pandemic geography. It's not so that pandemic geography is new, because we had our world has a long history of pandemics, and so geographers were studying about it in the health geography or medical geography also. So it's not something completely new. But what I was just now said, that the way so quickly, we reacted to COVID-19, because obviously this particular pandemic was like, once in our lifetime, and it has practically shaken our world. And so geographers were, interested, to understand the relationships between density, distance, and spread. I'm remembering Haggerstrand now, but still, as far as the distance and that case study of cholera and all that. But even in pandemic geography or the contemporary world, you will find that, people, the human geographers have addressed these issues. And even if you know that during those days, there were many such sites or institutions who were 24/7, they were mapping the number of patients and the vaccination and all that. There are many such sites. Again, just due to time constraint, I am unable to show you. But you just can search for the Johns Hopkins University and the website that they have maintained and throughout, where you can see the very latest, the real-time changes taking place and are being shown on a map, and actually telling us that how the pandemic geography is changing. Similarly, geography of vulnerability is also a part of pandemic, because there are a number of factors, due to which, like, all of us are not equally vulnerable. And our vulnerability, as far as the COVID-19 is concerned, depend upon, where are we located? That played a very important role. First wave, you remember what happened in the slum areas of the cities. Dharavi example, we all of us know. As geography students, we must answer that why Dharavi, or why only cities in the first wave? Why in the second wave it largely entered into rural area? Just understand what's happening. Okay, what's the relationship between this virus and space as geographers are concerned, and how due to different social classes that we belong to, different economic classes that we belong to, each and everybody are unequally vulnerable. We are not vulnerable at the same degree. Okay, and so geographers have done a fantastic work on, मतलब ये तो है कि लॉकडाउन के दौरान those animals came to road and the peacocks were dancing and all that, so that's all that is there. No, for me these things are further more important, because we know जैसे everything now we started, all those peacocks and animals have vanished. Okay, I mean, at least as far as my opinion is concerned, we have not learned much, through this entire episode, and we are back to normal and ready to, make more destruction. What new or what is different, I feel, other than those typical environmental change due to lockdown and etc., is this inequality, how we are vulnerable in a different way. I think that's very important. Okay, how we responded to pandemic. Okay, most importantly, as the last point says, how if you read the papers in related to political geography as far as pandemic concerned, how governments responded to COVID-19, okay, and how this response will determine democracy. Okay, because the digital geography mein humne dekha that practically we are under surveillance, right? Today, I mean, Google knows where I'm sitting, or where are we sitting, where are we moving. So we are under surveillance, okay, and now suddenly we are like immobile. So there is a very significant role of government, and there has been a lot of arguments at the academic level that how the pandemic has threatened the democracy and allowed the government or the political processes, to control the people, their movements, and lot many things. So pandemic geography is another very significant theme. This is just one map that I just thought, because to show, this is a map of 29th November, and I mean after this Omicron, and you can see the change in the confirmed COVID-19 cases. Okay, so 14 days mein, okay, kitna change hua, right? And then I mean the darker the shade of the color, it means that the change is very, very, very high, at very high degrees. Okay, and now that also you see that how spatially or how regionally there are differences. Okay, where you can see France at 175% change in 14 days as far as new confirmed cases are concerned. Russia at -11, China is -63, we are at -18, Mexico at 1%. Okay, now this spatiality of COVID-19 is something very important, and that is what the pandemic geographers have touched upon. Another very significant area of research that we believe that should not be discussed or should not be brought in classrooms, but at international level, the contemporary human geography is taking over this particular area like anything. We had the roots of all this in the geography of gender, in the feminist geography, जो हमको 80s 90s में develop हुआ last century के. But now you can see that the contemporary human geographers are like more they are more addressing these issues of body and space and the relationship between them, or the relationship between geography and the sexuality. Now interesting thing is what I want to say, जब भी हम geography में scale की बात करते हैं ना, तभी भी हम हमेशा कहते हैं micro level to macro level. जब भी हम माइक्रो लेवल की बात करते हैं, हम चालू करते हैं कि सी माय होम, ओके, दैट इज एट माइक्रो लेवल. प्लानिंग जो पढ़ रहे हैं तो उनको मालूम है, वी स्टार्ट विद द तहसील एंड देन डिस्ट्रिक्ट एज माइक्रो लेवल प्लानिंग, एंड देन वी गो हायर अप टू द मैक्रो लेवल. इंटरेस्टिंग, आई मीन आई डोंट नो हाउ एंड व्हाई वी कैन फॉरगेट आवरसेल्व्स. ओके, आई मीन हाउ कैन वी फॉरगेट आवर ओन बॉडीज, राइट? आई मीन द माइक्रोएस्ट लेवल or the microed scale is the human body, which is reacting to space and being and dealing with the changes in space. Now, why this particular theme became important and how the contemporary geographers are looking at it, it's mainly because, again, as I said, that there is something which is a majoritarian view and there is something which is a minority view. Now, what happens when majority is not ready to, accept and understand the view or the opinion or the say or the rights of the minority? Okay, then there is a tendency of getting cut off from that majoritarian, and that is what is happening in many places in the Western world. Okay, that the people having a different sexual orientations, let us call them as LGBT, and these people, because once the heterosexuals came to know about the different sexual orientations, the immediate response is like, that is looking at them with a completely different gaze altogether, cutting off the contact from them. And so in the Western world, we find a gentrification is taking place. So the LGBT community, which otherwise they were like a part of the entire city, now you will find they started moving at a certain part of the city. So in the city, we find a certain area where the LGBT community is more and more concentrated, because the LGBT people feel that when they are among their people, I mean, when they are in a like-minded people, okay, they can live their life more freely, okay, without any kind of suppression, which they find. So that suppression or the what I will say, no recognition to their rights, which they observe in a general space of the city. So they go into a particular corner or the part of the city, and then they stay and they be there and have their own locality. तो ये जो एक फीलिंग होता है ना अदरनेस का, या अदरनेस का भी थियरी जरा आप पढ़ो पीजी वाले, it is not just related to sexuality, it is related to number of things. This is sexual other we are talking about, that is the LGBT communities. And then geographers are have done a lot of work in mapping these communities, okay, again at multi-scalar level. I'm just showing you this world map where the homosexuality is legal or where it is illegal, and that will tell you what the word I have used at the end of this slide, the legal geography. Legal geography is another very important area of the contemporary human geography, and this is just one aspect that the legal geography is taking on, and that is the speciality of recognition of the rights of the LGBT community and how they are dealing with the space as far as their day-to-day life is concerned. Another important thing, and the point that I was making earlier, that geography is experiencing a kind of a creative turn, and there is a new geography that is rising under the name of the geography of creativity. Okay, now I mean, we all know that we are aware about the literary geography and all that. So I mean, the literature geography, literary geography, language geography. Okay, and at the same time, geography and arts, or geography and different other forms of creative arts. Okay, so they were also we were aware of their relationship, but in this century we are finding that it's an entire sub-discipline that is being developed within the fold of human geography as geography of creativity. You know that in geography we always give importance to patterns, right? And how we understand pattern. आपके सामने एक सैटेलाइट इमेज या एरियल फोटोग्राफ रखा, टीचर्स नॉर्मली डू दैट, आपके टीचर ने आपको दिखाया होगा सेटलमेंट पढ़ाते, पैटर्न पढ़ाते समय. हाउ हैव वी सीन दोस, मतलब कैसे पता चला हमको कि इट्स अ लीनियर पैटर्न और अ स्टार शेप एंड ऑल दैट? इट इज ओनली व्हेन वी सॉ इट. Okay, so vision and space is so important. Okay, that is what we see. Okay, is very important to understand what kind of patterns are existing or how are they changing. Okay, and so geography in that fashion or in that context is a very visual discipline. Okay, and then we are now talking about this our remote sensing and different the satellite imageries and all that we do. Okay, but fundamentally we are dealing with colors when we talk about maps, topographic maps, and fantastic use of colors in the topographic maps, and a more logical I will say the use of the colors in topographical maps. So geographers have dealt with this particular aspect of art and colors. Okay. Another important thing is many a times kya dekhna chahiye, what we should see and how we should see. So many a time that is also decided by the society कि हमको क्या देखना चाहिए क्या नहीं देखना चाहिए, right? And that becomes a very important part जो मैंने second last point में लिखा है, the cultural construction of what should we see and what we should not. Now contemporary human geography is taking care of this, I mean taking a note of this in their current research. Many a times the art form, suppose somebody showed you a painting of any city, painting of a city, say a painting of Mumbai, is shown to somebody who has not visited Mumbai. So what will happen? On the basis of that painting, that person will create an image about the city in his or her mind. And that image is of a place called Mumbai. So these are spatial images. So arts plays a very important role in developing, in creating those spatial images. Okay, and then there is a whole lot of politics also and whole lot of economics also. Okay, which is again connected with this financial geography and all that. एक छोटा सा काम करो, कल आपके पास जब न्यूज़पेपर आ जाएगा तो न्यूज़पेपर में ये जो रियल एस्टेट के एडवर्टाइजमेंट्स आते हैं ना, just look at the kind of images that they focus to attract people. Okay, the kind of images that, and it's an image of space. And what they write there, artistic construction. छोटा सा किधर लिखा हुआ रहता है. That's an artistic construction of a space. Mind it, it is very different from what the the space is, right? But how the politics and economics works, in attracting people, in trapping the people, so the art plays a very important role in constructing and also in deconstructing these images of space. Lot can be said in this. I was mesmerized with this idea of chromatic geography. I wasn't knowing about it. Just while preparing for this lecture, I came to know. Now, chromatic geography, as all of us know, it's a geography of colors. I already told you, as far as mapping is concerned, we had dealt with colors. Okay, but we normally confine those colors with the box of those legend or the index. Udhar apna khatam hota hai color ka. Okay, yeah, obviously we do a lot of field sketching and all that. There also we use colors. Okay, but then that was, let us say that these were the roots, where geography started engaging with the aspect of colors. But today now in contemporary human geography, we can see a full an idea that is being studied, and that is of chromatic geography. And this chromatic geography, particularly the exhibition that was held in 2017, titled as, it's not a book, ye book nahi hai, it was an exhibition, and it's a poster or that brochure kind of flyer, I will say, of that exhibition. And that exhibition was titled as Chromatic Geography. Okay, and this ye chromatic geography mein kya, what was displayed? So they displayed different art forms that were based on the use of natural dyes. Okay, we all know that the ancient man or ancient humans already were making different colors from flowers and other things, from the nature, the surrounding environment. But then after Industrial Revolution, we came across the synthetic dyes, and gradually this use of natural dyes died off, right? But then we realized later on that at what scale these synthetic dyes are actually damaging our environment. Okay, and from there on, this concept of bioregionalism came up, in which it was believed that if we really want to have a flavor of this place, then we should use we should make the colors based on what's there in the nature or what's there in the surroundings in that particular place. So using local dyes, using traditional techniques. हमको traditional techniques तो मालूम है. We know that way that there are different patterns of say even stitching. We know that there are so many different patterns from place to place. It's entirely a geography, but the geography is not just confined to those techniques of stitching. It is also, for example, is talking about the colors and the difference of colors from place to place, and what kind of natural dyes that can be developed in different places. So it's absolutely fantastic, to study more about, and just image search de do chromatic geography likh ke baad mein, and you will be happy with the kind of pictures that you will see. So this geography of art and craft, okay, and it's completely a different chromatic geography. Now we have come to an end of this. I mean, we are like the climax of this presentation, because whatever we may talk about, the major, I mean, the most significant challenge, because it's a challenge for survival, okay, that is this era of Anthropocene. I hope you know Anthropocene is a kind of it's a geological era which has been recently added. And if you see these graphs showed what kind of change has occurred in, say, population, and then in the use of fresh water, or in damming the rivers. Just see just understand or observe the steep curve. Okay, how the things started changing after 1900, and especially after 1950, you can see suddenly the curve becomes much steeper. Okay, you see the species extinction, you see the ozone depletion, you see the rainforest deforestation. Okay, and that was the reason why the geologists realized that this particular period of 1950 onwards is the period which need to be recognized, identified as the era of Anthropocene, the time in which the collective activities of human beings were so great that they began to alter the Earth's surface, atmosphere, oceans, and all that. And I think so that, and rather everybody will agree certainly, that this is the most important challenge that we are facing. We, not as a human beings, wo to hai hi, that our survival is being threatened, but at the same time, we as human geographers also, how are we going to deal with it? Okay, just taking data and saying कि देखो 50 साल में इतना बारिश कम हुआ, इतना ये change हुआ, इतना, is it sufficient? Okay, are we going to think about how are we going to reverse this, and what specifically as geographers, what specific suggestions or recommendations are we going to give as geographers? Okay, how are we going to use space for all this discussion? Okay, I mean, how can we use the space or the geographic space for this purpose? I think these are some very important challenges in the contemporary times. The beginning has already been made in this fantastic book by Jonathan Pugh and David Chandler. Do read this. I think its PDF is available on the net, and that is Anthropocene Islands. Okay, आपने जब global warming पढ़ा था, तो I am sure आपने Maldives का वो case study पढ़ा होगा कि the sea level is going to rise and islands are going to go. Okay, so suddenly what has happened, that the contemporary human geography now suddenly started looking at islands. So suddenly islands became a focus of study. Otherwise, earlier, like, they were okay that there are islands. I mean, no, we didn't give that that attention to the islands. But now the entire focus is on it. And I like some of these sentences that I will try to read them. The human nature divide of modernity is today frequently argued to have collapsed, and work on the Anthropocene intensively focuses upon the new problematic of how humans are relationally entangled with more than human forces. Okay, so the nature and the environmental change and something that is happening which is more than human force, which is transforming our planet. And now, and we are in a new way, we are relating. Okay, मुझको किधर interesting लगता है ये सब, कि जब हम ancient human की बात करते हैं और हम बोलते हैं कि that ancient human was not knowing कि why the lightning is taking place and why there is a rainfall. So humans were used to get afraid, and from there on, number of things. I am not going into it. That's interesting. Okay, but at that time also, human went through that fear of more than human forces of nature. Okay, but that was due to ignorance. That was due to no knowledge about how nature functions. Okay, now interestingly, we know how nature functions, may not be entirely, but at least to some extent. And in spite of having this knowledge, interestingly, we have put up ourselves into this position. Okay, so I always feel that ancient humans were wiser than us. Okay, the way they dealt with their world without having that scientific knowledge and understanding the whole thing, that how everything functions systematically. We know everything. Still, just see what kind of world we have made or we have created for ourselves. From there, and I think इसका जो root है ना ये सबका, ये एक important idea में है that nature and culture are as if are dichotomous, as if they are two completely different entities. So we say nature space and culture space. Okay, then Carl Sauer came and says that how the nature space is converted into cultural space, but still they remain dichotomous. Okay, read Sarah Watmore's work and you will find out this new hybrid geography she is talking about. The word hybrid here is talking about how nature and human or nature and culture are not dichotomous and they are actually one. And I think we have ignored that oneness of nature and culture, and we have always looked upon it as dichotomous, that humans, being overcoming or taking over nature and enslavement of nature, and we are destroying the nature and all that. Okay, like instead, this is the idea I feel is very important. Okay, though again everything can be discussed critically. For everything there can be doubts and there can be questions. Everything can be criticized. Okay, everything that can be done, but at least let us start talking about it. Let us start bringing it in our syllabus and in our research of what's happening, about it. So these hybrid geographies, please read Sarah Watmore's book. Geography of climate change again is not new for us. We know that climate is changing. Okay, and there is something called as United Nations Sustainable Development Goals in place, SDGs, and very recently, in November 21, that we had 26th UN Climate Change Conference, Conference of the Parties at Glasgow, COP26. And there India pledged to accomplish carbon neutrality by 2070. Okay, now human geographers have, now please see what I'm saying. This is another interesting concept that is coming up. Okay, it is okay, it is fine. We have understood that, okay, there is climate change, there are SDGs in place, and now we want to change ourselves. Okay, we want to transform from extractive economy to the living economies, from extractive economy to more sustainable economies. Now human geographers are asking question that please tell us, how are you going to do this? It's okay that you have said that 2070 tak ho jayega. Now question we are asking as human geographers, how are we going to do it? Is this process going to be just and equitable? If we are thinking of stopping the coal mines, fine, that is required for environment. What about the people who are involved in mining? What kind of justice we are going to give to them? Okay, or is it so again this entire process is going to be very elitist, which will be very partial to the elites and the capitalists and the powerful class, and going to exploit the people who have no power and no money with them. So it is fine, it is absolutely necessary to make this change. The problem is now we need to map how this change is going to take place, how just, how equitably are we going to do this transition. And so there is a concept called as just transition. Okay, these are the concepts which are taking place in being discussed in the areas of environmental justice, spatial justice, and all that. Just give search just transition framework and you will come to know about what I am talking about. I think this is very important. बाकी अब तक बाकी तो सब कुछ हमको पता चल गया है. अभी जो हमको एक्चुअली करना है, ओके, और वो सिर्फ हमको करते समय आर वी गोइंग टू लुक एट द पीपल जिनके लिए हम कर रहे हैं, राइट? सो दैट्स अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट. To sum up the entire discussion, I just want to say that in the wake of interdisciplinarity, मतलब we are talking about social geographies, political geographies, historical geography and economic geography, and then हम बहुत ही कॉलर टाइट करते हैं अपना जोग्राफर्स करके कि yes, you know, we are so much interdisciplinary, Okay, sorry for that spelling mistake, that typo. Now, but my question is that are we losing geography in this entire interdisciplinary research? Okay, because sometimes the kind of research I see currently going on in my I mean in whatever I can see, whatever I can refer, I usually find that the interdisciplinary bolke, the people, look, they give title as social geography, but they talk about sociology. Okay, the paper, when you read the paper, you feel that yaar isme ek map nahi hai, kuch nahi hai na, it's basic, it has become a completely a sociology work. Okay, or economic geography has become more economics and less geography. The problem is that in this interdisciplinarity, we should remember, rather we should not forget who we are as geographers, and most importantly, what is our relationship with space. And I think our understanding our relationship with space, जो हम ही ज़्यादा अच्छे से जानते हैं being geographers, और ये अपना responsibility बनता है climate change के background पे कि ये relationship with space जो हर एक human being का है, ये समझाए लोगों को, okay, through our research, through our actions, okay. And I think this is I mean this is the, I will say that this will open up the door of how human geographers can contribute, okay, to resolving. अभी समझा सब कुछ हमको, जो भी climate change बहुत कुछ समझा. Now we need to change it, okay, and those sociological recommendations, economics के recommendations, those people will give. What recommendations are we going to give as geographers? Okay, and that can be done only if we strengthen our relationship with space, and that's all the contemporary human geography is talking about. Lastly, I will just take your 2 minutes. All of us know David Attenborough, and he gave a fantastic speech in that Glasgow conference. If you have not seen, please go to YouTube and watch it. Okay, I'm only going to play this video of just last 2 minutes of his speech. Listen carefully, okay, and just see with the kind of passion that he's speaking, and keep this in your mind. This concept which I'm trying, this idea that I'm trying to say, strengthening our relationship with space, okay, and how it can be related with what Sir David Attenborough is talking about. With this video, we will end this lecture. Let me just open this up.
It's easy to forget that ultimately real.
Let me just this increase the volume. Maybe you will listen it better.
It's easy to forget that ultimately real emergency climate comes down to a single number: the concentration of carbon in our atmosphere. The people alive now, or the generation to come, will look at this conference and consider one thing: did that number stop rising and start to drop as a result of commitments made here? There's every reason to believe that the answer can be yes. If working apart, we are powerful enough to destabilize our planet, surely working together, we are powerful enough to save it. In my lifetime, I've witnessed a terrible decline. In yours, you could and should witness a wonderful recovery. That desperate hope, ladies and gentlemen, delegates, excellency, is why the world is looking to you and why you are here. Thank you.
Just a minute. I think there is nothing best to end with those words of Sir David Attenborough. And before I end, I just want to ask, just put a question, that are we as Indian geographers, how, in what way, are we actually addressing the concerns of today's world? Okay. Now, if we are answering, there is something called as progress in Indian geography. You can search, PG students can search, so that you know what's happening there. I tried that, I will bring that element also, but it would have increased the timing of the time duration of my lecture, so I didn't do it. And then I would have been a bit critical about the whole thing. So I thought, let me skip that particular part. So let us end here at this particular point, that we need to know our relationship with space as geographers as well as human beings. And then as geographers, we have more responsibility in knowing and making others understand this through our studies and through our researches. It is only then there is some hope, for in our geography, Indian geography, to to go ahead and then meet the challenges that we have. So there are a number of references that I have already cited, and at the outset, and then I mean, I thank you, because I enjoyed preparing for this particular lecture. Number of things, I was reading, but I got a time to to put it in the slide and make this presentation, and it rather helped me a lot, because I got to know so many things and I got to read so many things. My download folder is full now with number of things that I now I will be reading after a few days. So thanks a lot to NK College, and again Principal Madam, all the department teachers, and all of students, because I can see it's quite a large number you have joined, and I hope this entire series you might have enjoyed. So thanks a lot.
Thank you, Dipesh sir. Very well done. Student, you might realize how much Dr. Karmarkar read about geography, how much he's concerned about the geography, and how much he's concerned about the students of geography. See his presentation skills. See the reference work he did. How very difficult, huge topic he just symbolized and brought it to you. So this is what we have to do. We have to develop ourselves, and without that, we cannot do anything. I just want to tell you that some days back, I got a call from our one of the student who is doing town planning course. And she was telling me, sir, उधर तो सब आर्किटेक्ट स्टूडेंट्स है, इंजीनियरिंग के स्टूडेंट है, और मुझे तो उसमें कुछ भी नहीं आ रहा है, और एज अ रिजल्ट ऑफ इट मुझे 0 मिल रहे प्रैक्टिकल्स में, क्योंकि टीचर्स बेसिक कंसेप्ट जो आर्किटेक्चर है, इंजीनियरिंग के है, मुझे पता ही नहीं है. मैं उसको ये बोला कि कंसेप्ट तो आपको थोड़े बहुत समझने पड़ेंगे, लेकिन पूरा आर्किटेक्ट या पूरी इंजीनियरिंग पढ़ने की कोई जरूरत नहीं है आपको. आप ज्योग्राफी के स्टूडेंट हो, आप ज्योग्राफी के बेस लेके आए हो, you give your input in town planning, you give your input in this particular subject, and that is what is required. So students, अपने लिए स्पेस क्रिएट करो, अपना जो सब्जेक्ट है उसमें मास्टर बनो. दूसरा क्या कर रहा है, दूसरे से कुछ एज इट इज कॉपी करने की कोई जरूरत नहीं है. That what I want to tell you. So thank you once again, Dr. Karmarkar. Now students, if you have any questions, any doubt, you can ask directly questions to Dr. Karmarkar. If you feel some other doubts afterwards, you can contact him, you can speak with him, and he is very accessible person. So this is what I want to say about today's lecture. Yes, any question? Kaushal? Vishal, sorry. Vishal, you go ahead.
Okay. Good evening, sir. It was wonderful session. My question is basically when you were explaining regarding the pandemic geography. So I think there are some geographical spaces like countries such as the Nauru Island, which is in Central Pacific Ocean, North Korea, Turkmenistan. These islands and these countries, they haven't got affected with COVID pandemic wave. So how can we say that it has a geographical, like it didn't follow the geographical spatial pattern, like uniform pattern? Because there are some geographical spaces like even in initial first wave pandemic, the Maldives and Lakshadweep Island, Andaman Nicobar, the cases were very minuscule. So with compared to the like metropolitan cities like Pune, Mumbai, Nagpur. So so there wasn't a uniform pattern, and still the disform pattern we can see throughout the world. So, can you just give some highlight on that?
Yes, thanks, Vishal. It was a good question. But as I said, as I just now was telling you, that the answer to this question is what we are supposed to find out as human geographers. Because the whole thing is that the pandemic geography is dealing with number of questions, including the one that you just now talked about. So we need to understand a few things. Well, as a student, I want you to understand a few things. That is it so that when we look at a map of COVID-19, and when we find that those dark spots, where the number of patients are more, so is it so that we are only concentrating in those areas and then call it as a pattern? I always tell to my students, no pattern is also a pattern. Okay, and because normally हम क्या करते हैं कि जो pattern है ना, उसका interpretation है, उसको answer देने की कोशिश करते हैं. और जो तुमने question किया, that is so vital question, that why not in those areas? Okay, and that too after it's not it's now the pandemic is not that new to us, so why not? So is it that because the islands were more they were more disconnected? Is it because of the distance from the mainland and the island that it has affected that this particular situation is there? But that we need to see. This can be hypothesis, but we need to prove that by doing research. Obviously, we cannot go to many of those islands, but as I said, human geographers are dealing with it. Okay, but please understand that कि COVID-19 नहीं होना भी pattern है. Irregular is a pattern. Pattern is not just regularity. Okay, and I think that is where the significance of us as human geographers lie. That in what way we can address these questions. I'm happy that you came up with this question. Explore the net. Okay, explore various papers and journal. I'm sure that your college library has access to Justor and all other sites, so you can very well download and read some of those papers. Reading and exploring is the only key. Okay, maybe जो question तुमने पूछा कुछ paper होगा भी उसके लिए, तो I have not come across that paper, but obviously there may be. Now we need to find out. We need to give a search accordingly, and surely we will come to know something. Okay, and then अपना खुद का भी तो thinking होना चाहिए, so that also we should develop. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Preeti, you can go ahead with your question.
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir. Sir, my question is, sir, does the geography of vulnerability include both the effects, that is the effects caused by the natural sources as well as the man-made sources?
Yes. Geography of vulnerability is another completely different sub-discipline. I just explained it with reference to pandemic, but yes, you're rightly, because vulnerability is not just due to nature or not just due to human. It is due to all these issues. Especially if you see the research in geography of disasters, okay, then you will find that there is a lot of work going on as far as the vulnerabilities are concerned. Because अभी जो हमने केरला में वगैरह देखा, that whenever a flood comes or a landslide occurs, okay, who can run? So only able-bodied people can run, okay, right? But children cannot, or a senior citizen cannot. Okay, so just by sheer due to their age, a person becomes vulnerable. Or suppose there is a handicapped person, okay, or Divyang as we call them. So they also cannot respond so quickly. They cannot run away so quickly. So we find these are the people who are more vulnerable. Okay, and so we need to understand this vulnerability of certain people. जो मैंने उधर बोला, that was class wise, caste wise, वो तो gender wise, वो तो सारा है ही. Okay, but as you rightly pointed out, vulnerability is can be understood and studied in different contexts, not just of pandemic. It's a completely independent sub-discipline, I will say. Again, read on the Google, search on your own, you will get a lot of material on vulnerability.
Yes,
Anyone
sir, thank you
else
so
has
much.
any question?
Thank you.
Anyone else has any question? Yes, Khadija, go ahead with you.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, sir. May you give a brief information more about chromatic geography?
I told you that chromatic, the word chromatic here refers to the production of colors. And the way we used to produce colors, I mean in the ancient days, by using the natural that elements from the natural surroundings. So that was the way we used to produce colors, and then we used to use them for dyeing and all that. Okay. But what has happened is that during the Industrial Revolution period, synthetic fibers, synthetic dyes came up, and these synthetic dyes, because they can be produced at very large quantity and relatively the cost is relatively cheaper. So mostly we went for, and then rather different combinations and more attractive colors and patterns can be made out of it. So you will find that after Industrial Revolution, we find that the use of natural dyes declined completely. But now, after so many years, now we realize that what was the what's the impact of all those synthetic dyes? What kind of chemical pollution they are causing to land and water and etc. So there is a thinking that now we should go back to, यदि आपने वो contemporary themes में आपने देखा होगा chemical geography. Okay, so it is related to this idea of chemical geography. Okay, that how we can come out of these chemicals that is polluting more, and we can go back to our roots and try to develop these natural colors. I mean, with the help of natural dyes. Okay, and then we can make different colors and designs by using natural dyes. That is the, as I said, chromatic geography is a word that was used in the context of an exhibition. I didn't find any book or I didn't find any work which is using this concept to understand space and colors. That relationship. Okay, but I'm sure that relationship is there somewhere in the area of creative geography or geography of art, where this certainly has been discussed. But chromatic geography फिलहाल अब तक एक बहुत ही specific concept है related to these dyes and all. Now we need to see how it develops in future, because 21st century has not ended yet. It has just begun, and you are the one who are going to witness it. Okay, so keep this in mind and see what's happening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Anyone else has any other question, query? And sir, given you lots of examples at the world scale. India is also one of the heterogeneous country with different cultures and different religions. So you can correlate whatever is happening in the world in the Indian context also.
Yes, yes.
And here you can visit that particular place, can take the experience, can talk with the people, and you can develop the concept. Yes, anyone else has any question? Okay, fine. Ashley, sir, please go ahead.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So you wanted some personal response, you were saying? Dongre sir?
If any student from other colleges wish to speak about this lecture series or as to, yes, Rahila, yes, you can go ahead with your question or your things.
Not a question. I wanted to give a feedback. As you said.
Fine, Rahila. You go ahead.
I am Rahila Sayyed from SPDT College, Andheri East. As I am doing my major from geography, the lectures were really informative. All the professors were intelligent and resourceful. And I appreciate all the encouragement you all gave us during the lectures. From my opinion, this was the best lecture series in the university. I so much believe that all I have learned from the lectures surely be beneficial as I continue to the next phase for my career. Thank you.
Okay. Uh, anyone else? Anyone else? Dipesh sir, today is last day. That's why we are asking some students.
Yes, I can understand, surely.
Okay. Yes, Vishal Katkar, you want to say something? Your Vishal Katkar?
Yes, sir. I think we got to learn many core aspects and interdisciplinary aspects of the geography, such as geomorphology, climatology, then disaster management. And I think the best part of the geography is that it is not confined to the books or the discipline of the social science, but it is rather day-to-day life that which we should understand, and it influences, and the geographical knowledge is equally important to enhance our day-to-day life. So it is very interesting. Thank you, uh, college, for organizing such wonderful workshop. But just my small request, like if you organize something related to the offline workshop, such as a disaster management or the themes on cultural historical geography or field course something, so it would be more beneficial to gain the on-ground experience.
Your suggestion will be taken up. Yes, and we will definitely inform you something if we organize related to offline. Just hope that everything becomes normal soon and we get that opportunity. Yes, Ashley sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Shetkar sir, can we propose a vote of thanks and then sharing the link? Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Oh,
sir.
yeah. Diti, over to you.
Sir, I would like to appreciate first how informative these sessions were, and how grateful it is to experience such big personalities talking about the geography in everyday life and giving such good information about us. And I would request my co-host Riti to propose a vote of thanks and end with our session today.
Yes, sir. It gives me great pleasure to propose a vote of gratitude for today's talk. Sir, thank you so much for such an interesting and informative session. You have supplied quite useful information for students, and that would be really fruitful for us in our academic life. Thank you, sir, for enlightening us about different themes of contemporary human geography in 21st century. We will surely read the books recommended by you, The Revenge of Geography and all others, and we will also visit those two websites which you suggested, which you recommended, for gaining more and more knowledge about the latest research in the field of geography. Thank you for enhancing our knowledge about the digital space and telling us about the importance of digital space in our day-to-day life, and the way you threw light on different aspects of geography, the pandemic geography, the sexuality geography, the vulnerability geography, the chromatic geography, and the era of Anthropocene. It was really fruitful for us, and we learned a lot today. I would like to express my gratitude to our principal, vice principals, professors, and the entire organizing and the management team for making this webinar possible. Heartfelt thank you to Moshmi ma'am for always supporting us and giving us your valuable insights. A special thank you to Shetkar sir, Dongre sir, and Ashley sir for your constant efforts and guidance throughout these 5 days of lecture series. Thank you, Mr. Kalpesh Phule from BBI and Mr. Ruben Chandran from BAF for your technical assistance. A big thank you to all the participants and my fellow mate for participating in this lovely session and making it successful. I thank you all once again and hope you all have a wonderful evening ahead. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Thanks.
Dipesh sir, छान झाला एकदम सेशन, एक्सलंट.
Thank you, sir.
Excellent. म्हणजे start to end. Keep it up, sir. Keep it up.
मी पण एन्जॉय केलं.
हा छान. मुलं पण भरपूर आहेत आणि सर्व चांगले लिसनर पण आहेत.
येस येस.
ओके ओके सर. थँक्यू.
हे आपल्या कॉलेजच्या युट्यूब वरती राहील का हा व्हिडिओ?
हा युट्यूब वरती आहे सर. युट्यूब वरती राहणार आहे व्हिडिओ. नंतर काय करतो, या 5ही लेक्चर्सच्या लिंक आहे ना आपल्या मुंबई जॉग्रफीच्या ग्रुपवर टाकतो. म्हणजे ते म्हणजे बघू शकतील कधी.
हो सर.
थँक्यू सर. थँक्यू.
थँक्यू सर.
थँक्यू सर. येस येस येस
ओके. थँक्यू. थँक्यू. बाय बाय.
बाय बाय.
Yes, those have filled the form. They can now leave Google Meet immediately.